Can you take a free podcast and turn it into several, not just one, but several unique digital products? We're going to answer that question in just a moment. But first, hello, everybody. This is Jeff Herring, your host of the Podcast Profit Show. Did I say podcast? See? Yeah, right. Start that over. This is Jeff Herring, your host of the Content Profit Show. Although that other one might be a good idea for our guest. Welcome to episode 58. Remember, this is an MPG, a mystery profit guest today that we'll be introducing in just a moment. Couple of announcements first. We are in the final show of our first 4-show week. So thank you all so much for supporting this show and making it a hit. And if you want to be on it, right underneath my name over here is contentprofitseat.com. Get there because we're booking into July now, okay? And it's April. So if you want to be on it, get in there before you got to wait through the whole summer. All right. So now let's introduce our mystery guest. Our mystery guest, there's a lot of things I can say about our mystery guest, but I'm going to say these two things that you probably don't know, either one. Thing one, our mystery guest is a piano player and singer for the Box Tops. The old 60s group is still going strong, and he's part of that. And now, the first time online, live, after open heart surgery, our mystery guest, Mike Stewart. Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I feel like somebody hit me in the chest with a sledgehammer, but I'm all right.
Well, it's about the similar thing from what I hear. Yeah, I'm just glad to have you here. You know, I was praying for you and glad you're here and glad you're healthy. And I'm honored for this to be your first foray into this. And if you fall out of your chair, I'll call Susan.
Okay.
And we'll keep doing the show. Okay?
I'm going to be fine. This is good to get back into the world of the living.
I love it. I love it. So a lot of my folks know you as, you know, somebody that came out of the music business, audio and video online. Somebody says Facebook user, tell us your name, says, nice to see you, Jeff and Mike. Known you both for a long time. That might be Donna. And they know you as that, and then doing some, you know, music stuff in Nashville now. What I want them to hear about is how in the world you got into. Now listen to this, folks. Oh, it's Tara. Okay, remember Tara? Welcome, Tara. How did you get into pest control marketing podcast? I mean, that sounds a little buggy to me.
Well, you know, everything is relationships. You know, you need to look at your relationships. You know, your good relationships, like you and I. We've had a relationship for many, many years, over a decade. Yep. And I have a dear friend in Atlanta who owned a pest control agency that he was a client of mine 30 years ago. We've known each other 40, Hal Coleman. And everything I learned in the internet world by speaking at conferences, listening to other experts. One of my first podcast mentors was Paul Colligan, has written several books about podcasting. And because podcasting was an audio music technology, you know, I gravitated toward things that involved audio files, recording, you know, all the things that I were comfortable and familiar and passionate about. So to me, podcasting was just the future of radio, and it's proven to be more and more every day. But, you know, 50 years ago, if you and I wanted to start a radio station, you come up with your $1 million, I'll come up with my $1 million.
Yes, exactly.
And you know, and then we'll start a radio station. Well, that was out of the reach of everybody.
Well, it's in reach now. How? So you and Hal started this podcast. I was doing a little bit of research on you guys. Either he or you both have been doing this for 8 years.
Well, I'll tell you the history of it, you know, because Hal has had that trust relationship with me that when I said, Hal, you need to do this.
Yeah.
He doesn't, you know, question it. He doesn't say why. He just, you know, which some people, you can do your due diligence, but at the same time, the fact that he was willing to say, okay, you know, and I learned this from you. I said, Hal, you need to do paid advertising and you need to do content marketing. And he says, well, what can I do? And I said, well, you can write a blog. And he was a good writer, and he wrote a lot of blog posts. But in fact, I see here one of the
side note, he uses my templates.
right. And a side note is that making content. I remember Alex Mandozian years ago. He said it's easier to speak and transcribe than it is to write. And he said the reason is the distance between the brain and the tongue and the brain and the hands is a whole lot longer.
That's right.
So it slows down in the process. So I said, Hal, you need to do a podcast. And of course, his first question, what's a podcast? How do you
do that?
And so I got him past those technical, and when he realized that it's nothing more than just, organizing your information and content and so forth. And so at any rate, he started promoting this podcast that he was doing it initially by himself. And he struggled with it. And he said, look, he says, people keep asking me, for things that are technical. He said, why don't we start doing the podcast together, and we can maybe start getting some of these people to do business with us. So that was about 7 or 8 years ago. And over the years, we have built a very targeted niche audience, pest control owners, because Hal over there on the left has the experience of actually owning a pest control agency. He took it from nothing to $1 million, sold it for about $1.5 million, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, and said, I don't want to do nothing. So he said, I want to start a coaching program. I want to start a group coaching program. I want to start a membership site. He said, I want to do all the things you do, but he says, I want to do it for pest control. Well, he originally wanted to do it for everybody, but he narrowed it down because of me. I said, Hal, you're a bug guy. I said, why don't you stay in your vertical, stay in your lane?
Yeah.
And people are going to want to work with an expert in your industry. And so what's transpired over that years, and the reason we still do the podcast, maybe not as vigorously as we used to, is we have an audience that subscribes to our content. They listen to our content, and the only
I love that. Thanks. Let's take a look at what you do. Let's put this on big screen. This is the Pest Control Marketing Podcast, uncensored and unplugged. Now, folks, what I want you to pay attention to, of course, during all of our shows and all of this one, and now going forward, just look at that one right there. Pest Control Marketing Podcast, Pest Control Marketing Tips 4. Okay? Take out the phrase pest control, put in your keywords, put in what you do. You can do this. Not only can you do the same thing, you should. Okay? And it is a great niche. And now, Mike, you and I were talking beforehand. You guys have got like between 130 and 140 shows. How often do you do this?
We made a commitment to do 2 shows a month, which we could do more. But I think as long as we just keep building our subscriber base. If you notice there on the right, it says subscribe to podcasts. We're in the big 4: Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon. We're accessible everywhere. When we get a subscriber to subscribe to us or tune into us, however you want to, then whether they do business with us or not, we constantly try to give them good information that can help their business. And then we always take time to self-promote what makes us money. And what makes us money, and if you were to ask Hal, and you ask me, the number one generator of new customers for us are people that have been listening. We've had people call us up and said, I've been listening to your podcast for 2 years. And I have finally filled out.
That's fantastic. And that's what I want you all to get out there. 2 years ago, and now they want to do business with Mike and Hal. Plug your niche into blank marketing podcast. Now, we've got your things up here. You guys have got coaching. You got individually, you got group coaching. You do an event every year. What I want to do now is let's play with this and add some things. Okay. Now, this is just a rough draft flow chart. We can play with it, but okay, we've got the Pest Control Marketing Podcast. And one of the ways you get people there is through a free ebook, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We actually advertise a free ebook, which gets people into our email list, and then we email people to remind them about the podcast and everything else we've got.
Nice. Nice.
But the only thing we pay advertising for is not the podcast, but for the free ebook. Um, and I can, if you want to pull it up, it's called How to Grow Your Pest Control Business.com.
Okay, cool. Cool. Y'all can check that out there to see how that's being done. Now, I know you guys get a lot of traffic, and I want to get you some more because I did some research over on Medium, some of the deep behind the scenes that nobody knows about. There is a lot of pest control there, and it is ready to be taken over. You guys could own this with what you already got, because all on Medium, you can put on podcasts right there. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I do that for a lot of my private clients. And Illumination, one of the biggest publications I recommend and get people into, they just started podcasting and video, a sub-publication. So I want you guys in there. Now, one of the reasons I pointed out 8 years and 130 to 140 episodes, that's a heck of a lot of content, okay? Mm-hmm. All of which could be transcribed, all of which could be a lot of things. What's screaming at me that you guys could do to create another stream of income is you've got 8 years, right? So think of that as 8 seasons or 8 volumes, okay? And you gather up the best of from a season or all of that season, okay? And then, you know, you add in something else, maybe the transcripts, maybe, a special presentation by you guys. That would be a great way to create a nice stream of income from this podcast. I mean, and you've got, the cool thing is you've got the content, right? Mm. It's just packaging it. And I bet if I could get you to go back through it, you could find like topics around a certain part, around a certain piece. Like, can you think of one that's like shows you've done about a certain topic or sub niche within pest control marketing?
Well, you know, one of the most popular things, two of the most popular things that we talk about in the podcast, and we've done maybe several episodes, is about vehicle graphics. How important, you're a brick and mortar business, you're going up and down the street with your vehicles, you know, are your vehicles selling for you? And we've got case studies of where people have made thousands of dollars a year more just by changing the graphics on their trucks. And
see, what you could do right there, mm-hmm. you and Hal, is do a you could do it free or paid about that. And then on a paid level, just show the examples and talk about it.
Right.
You know? I mean, there's so much you guys are doing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I want to tell folks here that we keep doing it because there's no reason to stop. But I mean, we got it to a certain level that, you know, we're both older guys, and we've got a lot of passions, and we know we could grow this business through a lot of things that we know. A lot of the things we're not doing, but I think one of the lessons I want you to have for your folks here is find something that you can be consistent with.
Yeah. That's what you guys have done really well at.
And the thing that I can tell you, this has been extremely profitable. With, you know, it's like a garden that we didn't fertilize or water as well as we could have, but we've had fruits of the labors for years. And and you know, your question is how did I get into pest control? It's purely because of how I know nothing about. I know marketing, but I didn't know, and I know audio, but I didn't know pest control. So, right. But we're both students of direct response marketing. Hal has read many. Dan Kennedy used to have a marketing newsletter that Hal subscribed to, even when he had his agency. And he learned direct response marketing by reading and books and understanding that, you know, when it comes to advertising, you either want a response or you're going to create an image. And so what we try to do is we try to educate and create a response. That's what we do with this podcast. We get in front of our target audience. We educate them that we're experts in lots of different aspects of increasing their business. And then we tell them, hey, if you want to go to the next level, here are the things that we offer. And that model could be done for literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of niches.
Oh, absolutely. Everything you're doing here could be. And folks, I really want you to catch this. Okay. If you're watching live or on the replay, look up here. If you're listening live or on the replay, tune your ears in. Okay. And if one of my live listeners here, watchers sounds like a science fiction movie. One of my accomplices will type this in to the chat. Type in response versus image. Okay. So many people don't go as far as they could because they get caught up in image. Okay. And one of the ways that plays out is in vanity numbers. Well, I've got 2,000 followers. Have any of them bought anything? No, but I got 2,000 followers. Okay. Response versus image. You want response. Thank you for, I think that's Tara putting that in there. And I will put it up on the screen as soon as I can regain control of my mouse. Mike, that's huge. Response versus image. Because I talk to so many people that have all these great numbers, except the bank account number, except the income numbers, and that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, really, that's the thing. I love working with your business, and a business I worked with earlier in the week that already has a lot of stuff set up. And where can I plug stuff in, right? So for you guys, it's the medium traffic, and do some best of things. If nothing else, even if you just did one or two, and use that as a traffic driver. Come watch the podcast, check out best of. And have you lost control of your music?
No.
Okay, cool. All right. So making sense?
Yeah.
Any questions about what I've said?
No, not for me. Just like with your health, you can know what to do, but you got to do it.
Yep. Oh, I love this comment. OMG, I knew somebody with 70K subscribers and used to brag about it. And yet when I looked into his detail, only 2K would open and very low response to anyone. That vanity numbers mean nothing. That's exactly right.
Well, we go, I got here in Nashville, there is a podcast users group, about 600 members. When I started, there was maybe 100 members, and they grew, and then COVID but I mean, it's growing because the interest in podcasting is just, growing exponentially. And it's because there's so many opportunities to build an audience.
Yep.
And it's so easy to create the content when you have something to say. And of course, the model that everybody thinks they want in the podcast group is get advertisers. In other words, build a big enough audience and then sell advertising. Well, you got two roadblocks there. One, the numbers are, at least the last I heard, is if you can get $15 per 1,000 listeners.
Dude, leave it.
Okay, so at $15 per 1,000 listeners, you need 10,000 listeners to make $150. You need 100,000 listeners to make $1,500. So, I mean, getting
that's crazy, Mike, because I have absolutely no sponsors.
And that's the thing is, in fact, there's a guy here in Nashville who has the beer podcast.
Right.
All right. And it's guys sitting around talking about beer, tasting beer, and commenting on beer. Well, that's a great niche. Well, they've got 2.5 million downloads per episode. So they have sponsors and they make money.
But that's a great thing. I mean, I say my show is sponsored by so-and-so, like something of yours, something of mine, something of somebody else's. But there's other ways to make money. I mean, my content profit seat guests, they pay to be on. And then if it's somebody I think I can help and would like working with, in the after show, we talk about options.
Well, and the reason I bring this up is that the model of trying to get an advertising-based podcast is so hard that most people give up because in 8 years, we have about 1,000 downloads per show, which in the realm of podcasting is a joke.
Well, yeah. And because most people, the stats say, most people don't get past 20 shows.
Right. Well, because that the only thing we're monetizing this audience with is one-on-one coaching, high-end services, annual event. In other words, if you looked at our website again, you'd see the only advertiser and the only sponsor of our content is things that's directly built and supportive and has testimonials that we've taken many of our clients, we've doubled their income in a year. We had one client that was doing $500,000 a year. He's doing 1.5 million. I mean,
that's not somebody that's ever going to say, I don't need you anymore.
Right. So with all that being said, is that in fact, David Hooper, he has a great book in Amazon. He's a friend of mine here in Nashville.
It's the big podcast, isn't it?
Huh?
The big podcast.
Big podcast. Yeah. We're in the book because he wanted to prove that even though you think you want to try to build a podcast that can have advertisers, and then of course now you have the numbers, you have enough people listening to your podcast. Now you have you got to go out and find advertisers, people who want to spend advertising. And one of the problems with buying advertising is if the advertising doesn't work, you're constantly looking for new advertisers. I would rather use this as a lead generator to build relationships, to have customers that spend enough money with you that it's worth your time and effort. So that's what we do.
Lead generator. Y'all write this down. A lead, or put it in the chat. A lead generator that's built. Geez, Jeff. A lead generator that's built. Mike, please say what I'm trying to say.
Our podcast is a lead generator to help us build new customer relationships.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Perfect. Thank you. And you're the one that had surgery, not me. All right. So it's time for us to wrap up. Mike, thank you for joining us. Thank you for making your first appearance post-surgery here on the Content Profit Show. Folks, if you want to be sitting in Mike's seat, well, not at his home, but knowing Mike, he'd welcome you. But in your seat, right underneath my name, contentprofitseat.com. Come on board. We're booking into July. There it is. The podcast is the lead generator that helps them build new relationships. That's a take home, folks. All right. Thank you guys for a great first week of 4 shows a week. Mike, everybody's saying be well, Mike. Yay.
I'm so grateful to have
you guys give Mike a clap or give Mike the clap to welcome him back. And so, buddy, thanks for spending time with us. As always, folks, you know what to do. Go use this stuff, and we will catch you on the next episode.